What's going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the channel. We return once again after a little leave of absence, back to the Super Rugby preview show. We're back ready for round number 10, and we have, for first time in quite a while as well, we have a 7-round match round as well, so it's going to be exciting. We're going to go on far too long as per usual, but that is how we go on this channel. Now, Guest time back, coming on, and still doing very well in SuperBru as well, which I'm sure he's going to tell you all about, is Paul, the man behind the Driving Maul. Thanks for driving. Thanks for joining us once again.
Oh dear, I'm glad you do a video thing rather than the podcast, so I can get away with those sort of visual jokes. Hi, Paul, the guy behind Driving Maul, the best place for your predictions and opinion around the world, and I am definitely the best place for predictions, rugby predictions that is, because yes, I should be number one on the ladder. I'm robbed. Absolutely robbed, I tell you.
Okay, well, I'll let you go right on to that straight away. SuperBru, let's go. Leaderboard, what's going on there? You're sitting second on my screen, but yeah, robbed? What's happening there?
Well, look, Antipodel 1949 or whatever, it hasn't got a real name. I mean, come on, have a real name that we can say, please.
At least he's got a picture.
He does have a picture. That's good. Very nice bow tie. Yes, very smart. It's not even
Maybe
him.
That's why he's got the nod.
It's that James Bond guy, isn't it? It's what's his name from James Bond. Anyway.
Yep, I'll agree. Yeah, I've no idea.
Got his name. What? 53.25 points total. We're on the same points, but TDM, which is total thingamajig margins. I'm a good 4 points better than 6 points better than him. I mean, come on, I'm 678 points out compared to 684. Surely I should be ahead of him and number one. I say robbed on a technicality that they've got it all wrong. This is someone's got their sorts order wrong. It's just yes, I've been robbed. I tell you.
And you know what he has to do for the rest of the season is just copy every single pick you make, and he'll beat you.
But my picks are so secret.
Yeah, no one even knows what they are.
No.
Rest of the top three.
Only published three or four times a week.
only multiple times, multiple places.
Well, on my predictions,
you've got to look out,
on my preview show, and on the #rugby chat, and now on your show as well. There are 4 places this week you can get 4 different videos. You're
stuffed. He's going to beat you. The 49 is going to be all over you. You got no chance at all. Even our Nut 07 is going to take that as well. He's sitting in third. He's doing pretty well, to be fair. He's been hanging around since he got that yellow cap. So old Al Nut, you got to look out for him. But the real action, everyone. Don't worry about the Driving Maul.
He's just got a white body, and that's just not how. Yes. He should be disqualified straight away. I'm not having it. I'm not being beaten by a white body. You have to.
He's lowering weight. You see, he's lowering weight so he can get higher up in the leaderboard without having to carry that excess photo. That's the thing.
So have you turned your 65-inch wide monitor around to portrait so you can actually get yourself on the same screen as me?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that question. Let's go on. With the real action here. I want to talk about the real action that happens down around 48th to 50th position. That's where it really happens, where the battle of all ages is happening between myself and Brett. Now, Brett, we're going to have to get Brett back on and talk about this because it is hotting up down there. I'm on 38.75. Oh, Brett's on 37. We are neck and neck. Don't look at it like that. This is excitement. Look at this.
No,
the wooden spoon down there.
Yes, my heart rate's gone through the roof. I had a heart attack with excitement on this one. But no, the thing that shocked. Where's your photo? Here we are talking about photos on these things, and you haven't even got a photo on the system. Come on.
Well, I got one here. I'll just screenshot.
Yeah, throw it into the put it on SuperBru.
I'll make a little video. I can play a little GIF. While it's going. That'll be better as well. Well, you should do that. Add that on as well. Anyway, box down there with this wooden spoon, and Snooze has a yellow cap. So we'll go for Snooze. He's racing up 14 spots as well. So that is the leaderboard for the predictions.
Quick, round of applause. Well done, Snooze. Zooming away from that titanic battle down in 48th
Where is Snooze?
50th.
Snooze is down in 35th as well, so he's got a long way to go. But
his 14-point climb has just pulled him away from you. He was your neighbour until just then.
I'll be catching up on him. Snooze, we're coming for you. Brett as well, he's coming for you as well. Across the ditch over in the fantasy team league, there's not much happening over here because it's the same 3 teams that consistently always dominate. So it's big Coventry over there. It's the old sneaky toilet actions. Every week I say that team's name as well. And the Outstanding Dinosaurs, which have picked up the yellow cap. So that's the 3rd spot for the yellow cap. It's a big thing. But as I always say to anyone who's in this league, Watch out for MFCFO's Blues, who is just steamrolling up the leaderboard into 4th position, the carryover champion. Now, come on. If you're a real picking master, you would have joined this league as well, and you'd be up the top where you say you were. But it's all right. It's all right. I mean, you've got more balls in the cannon who hasn't even joined the Predictor League, so I'll let you away with that.
So some of us were producing so many videos a week, we don't have time to try and figure out this fantasy stuff.
Listen to this.
The fantasy stuff is, to be fair, I'd love to, but I have a job, unfortunately.
As we all do. As we all do. Right. Let's move on to things. Let's move on to the real action out there. Let's go away from the fantasy. Let's go away from the leaderboards. And this is where it all happens. But first things first, we've got to do the ultimate update. It is yellow cards. Now, this week, heading into round 10, we have 42 so far this season. Now, here's a little point I want your thoughts on. 2017, heading into round 10, we had 77. Does that surprise you at all? Wow.
A little bit, yeah, because there had been a constant climb, hadn't there, for a couple of seasons around yellow cards. Yes. And this season, head-high tackles were supposed to be bringing in lots of yellow cards. But clearly the players have adjusted to it and, have gotten themselves okay. I think it's a good sign that it's come down. I was going to say, if it was even close, that, look, the first round only had 2 games. So we've actually had less games, but that's a big difference. What was it, 30 cards difference? That's pretty. That's a big drop. Wow, that's like 3 cards around. So that's a card every other game. So that's quite a drop.
It is, yeah. It's a big difference. I didn't think it would be that far away, but it's slowly the gap is just getting bigger and bigger each week. So very interesting statistics there. That's what you get here on the show. You get statistics. It just stops the road, doesn't it, completely? Right, let's go on to round 10. We have one team on a bye, so we've got a full round of matches. Ultimately, the Hurricanes are the teams been missing out for round number 10. So let's get into our first match, which is at Eden Park. It is your team. Oh, the Blues. It's always great when we start off with the guest team as well. The Blues versus the Highlanders.
The Blues brothers. Yes, let's go.
Oh, God. Worst commentary hash ever known in history, that. Blues coming off a win, though. You've got to be happy about that. Of course, they took down the mighty Sunwolves. I mean, no one's ever done that before, 24-10. The Highlanders, though, they completely dismantled the Brumbies, 43-17. Talk about your side, the Blues first. They're travelling a bit, the Blues. Now, of course, they're away at the Chiefs. They went over to the Sunwolves. Now they're finally back at home, but this competition is catching up on them a bit.
I understand you live down in the South Island and that basically no one lives anywhere near you, so you think that teams are miles apart. But Hamilton to Auckland is not very far. Okay?
Japan? Come on.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying, the trip, it's basically was home. It was a home trip to Japan and back again. Whereas that's what you guys have to fly all the way up to Auckland first before you're allowed to fly anywhere else out of the country because. Yeah, there's just no one lives down there.
The fact of the matter is, it's away from their stadium. It's not Eden Park. Hamilton is not Eden Park. Waikato Stadium is not Eden Park by any stretch. It's still an away match. It's 3 rounds now since they've been back at home. So think about it. This is an away trip, and you're the one that says that away match or the home team has so much of an advantage. So when you give it there, away game, you know, it does make a difference. But my point I was heading towards is where they actually are on the table now, heading into this game against Highlanders. They are at home, but they are 7 points behind the Highlanders, and they've played an extra game than the Highlanders as well.
So
they're not looking too good.
Wow, that's amazing. Yep. I'm impressed they're that close.
They're that close. Is that good? Really?
No. The Blues have been abysmal. Let's not try and try and sort of make this look anything other than it's going to be. The Blues have been poor. They were losing to the Sunwolves at half time. They didn't get a bonus point against the Sunwolves. Everybody else, pretty much, I think, has got a bonus point apart from perhaps the Lions. And the Brumbies, okay. But the Lions somehow let the Sunwolves get within 2 in South Africa, which is crazy. I mean, the Lions had a shocking 4 weeks. But everyone else has come away with a bonus point, as you say, apart from the Brumbies. But the Brumbies are also awful. And so, no, I can't be happy about a Blues win where they're losing for the first 50 minutes and they only overcome the Sunwolves by that. They made the Sunwolves make over 200 tackles in that game. One of their players had to make 27 tackles in a game. That's probably about as many as some players make in a season. That's just crazy. And And there was one fullback who made one tackle in the last round. I mean, he makes less tackles in his whole season than this one guy did in that one game, and still, the Blues couldn't overrun them and get a try bonus point. So no, the Blues really have got a lot of problems coming into this game, and I can't see how that's going to be improved any. I don't think Sonny Williams is back yet. And yeah, they've got a serious lack of serious physicality issue, which means against the Highlanders they're in some serious trouble.
That's a good point you make. We'll add that in. That the teams obviously haven't been named as we record this as well, so we don't know who's going to be playing this weekend. But you know, we go on, we make do. Last thing about the Blues, though, now that the season's at the sort of stage where should they lose this game, or even before that, their season's ultimately over in terms of actually getting anything out of it. Is that going to affect it's already a poor headspace for that side? Is it going to make them even worse? Go out there and just really not care about anything? Or do you think it's going to help them being a bit less pressure on the side?
Well, it comes down to how much do they like Tanner Umaga, to be honest with you. Basically, the guy's job's on the line. If they don't play well, if they don't turn up, he's going to get sacked. So if they have any respect for the coach, if they like him in any kind of way, they really need to be starting to put some performances in. But you just don't see it from them. And just to rack up, I say, over 200 tackles against the Sunwolves shows you are running some really poor lines. You're not creating space. You're not finding space. You're basically just running into people, and that's European style play. It doesn't work in Super Rugby. You have to run into the gap, not the person. The Sunwolves aren't known for their good tackling. They missed something like 40 tackles, I think it was. So to have only racked up that many points is abysmal. They just make too many elementary mistakes. Everyone was like, "Wow, look, they beat the Lions." Yes, they did. They still were making quite a few mistakes, and the only reason they won that game was because the Lions knocked on in the last 5 minutes over the try line when they could have scored a try. If they'd scored that try, the Blues lost. But the Blues came back. That night, a lot of things came off for them, but they were still playing the same crazy style of play. They really just need, and I've said this before, but they need to get back to basics, make themselves hard to beat, just tackle like demons. But they don't seem to be into that. They're big city sort of mentality of, let's play flash and we'll look good. Sorry, guys, no, stop trying to look good and just tackle people, please, because then you'll actually be hard to beat. Until then, you're going to be losing games, especially against anyone who's got any kind of structured attack at all. Like
the Highlanders, the Super Rugby entertainers of 2000s. Aren't they 2010s? It's the Highlanders, entertainment boys. This team could go places. Now, if they do win this game a bonus point, they could go up as high as second in New Zealand. So keep that in the back of your mind as you go into this weekend's action. But yeah, what have you been thinking about the Highlanders? They had a great start, dipped off a little bit. Obviously, most people will be expecting this to be a Highlanders win. But looking further into their season, do you think they really are contenders, sitting in a position that they could be in near the top of the New Zealand Conference?
Well, so far they've won all their home games and they've lost their only 2 away games. They've still got to go on tour. They've got to show us they can win away from home. Now, admittedly, those 2 away games have been against the Crusaders and the Hurricanes, I think it is. So their 2 away games have been against the 2 best teams in the competition, probably. So you can forgive them losing those 2 games, to be honest. But we need some proof they can win away from home. This is going to be an acid test for them. And then, as always with the Highlanders, they're reliant on a small number of players. They have one of the thinnest squads. At the moment, they're doing really well because they've only got 2 injuries. They're probably the least injured squad in New Zealand. If they can stay that way, they're in with a shout. If they lose a couple of players, especially if they're a couple of key players, and if they lose someone like Ben Smith or Aaron Smith or Sapawanga for a number of games, then they're going to need a bit of trouble. But as long as they can keep those players fit, they're in with a good shout.
They have bred quite a few decent little backups, so you've got to say that the underneath of their Highlander side is coming up quite nice this season. A few players have stepped up on occasion, so it is improving, but you're right about what you say about their top layer is definitely the best. You talk about their tour to South Africa. They do face the Blues, of course, this weekend, Eden Park. Then they are off to Pretoria to face the Bulls. Then they're off to Durban to face the Sharks, obviously, before returning back home where they face the Lions in Dunedin. So this is a make or break crunch time for them, really. They've got to get this big win here against the Blues and get as many points as they can before they hit that road trip. Because say Bulls and Sharks, at least at this stage, I'd say definitely are a big target on that one to take the victory as well, the way they've been playing. But on the road, you can never count out those South African teams.
No, on the road, I mean, they should be looking at 3 wins out of 3 for that, heading into that Lions game. Definitely. And the Bulls, they're improved. They've got some good. They're playing some good rugby, but they're not. They're definitely beatable, as we've seen when the Lions went down there and beat them. I think it was and John Mitchell. It's a young squad. He's a new coach. It's a new setup. They're still getting at this. They'll have their hot and their cold games. If you hit them on a hot game, you're in a bit of bad luck. If they hit them on a cold game, then they've got a really good chance. Then they should turn them over. To be honest with you, the Sharks. Are they the only South African club that side that actually likes playing away more than at home? And I've had a few comments like that in my videos recently about people saying, look, the Sharks just don't like playing at home. And you look at their results, you go, actually, you're right, they don't. So I think actually playing them at home might actually be a bonus for the Highlanders. If you think about it, if they could be playing the Lions at altitude. They could be playing the Stormers, who have won all their home games and lost all their away games. But no, they've got the Bulls and the Sharks. Now, the only easier option would be the Sharks and the Jaguares, which would have extra travel. So this is one of the easier tours they could have had, to be honest.
Yeah, they've drawn lucky with that one. Definitely getting those 2 guys away there. So who's going to win this one? Blues at home to the Highlanders.
Well, the Blues haven't won a game against against
What's that on your shirt? What's that your shirt say?
Placemakers. The Blues haven't won a game against a New Zealand Super Rugby team in forever. So basically, since they won the first 3 titles in this competition back in the 1700s. So yeah, I mean, Highlanders are going to win this one. I've gone by 5. It should blow out to
only
more than
5. God, that's pretty conservative.
It does say Blues.
I thought you'd at least gone to 9 or 10. Jeez. I thought you'd have a Spark T-shirt on by now, but you know, I'm surprised.
Hey, don't. I have applied to Spark to tell them, look, if they want some rugby commentary and content, absolutely, I'm their man. So if you see me commentating on the Rugby World Cup final, don't be surprised.
Oh, the final. Straight to the top. My pick, I've got the Highlanders by 13. I think I'll do the Blues. Do the Blues in a big way. But that's pretty conservative by my standards anyway. I'll still go by that. Okay, second match of the weekend. We're off to Allianz Stadium, where the Waratahs are up against the Lions. Now, both teams coming into this one, Waratahs with a victory over the Reds, and the Lions obviously coming off a bye. So they've had a bit of a rest coming into their tour.
So yeah, the Lions, historically a good touring side. About 2 or 3 seasons ago, turned the whole season around on tour. They started poorly, and that basically, the whole Ackerman thing came from that tour, the whole Ackerman run. Now we're seeing them without Ackerman, without his charisma, and having a different head coach who isn't as charismatic, but is doing the same game style. It hasn't been working, but importantly for this tour, Warren Whiteley is back in the tour squad. So their captain, blah blah blah, soul of the club, etc., is back in the team, which is good. And there was another player who's come back from injury. I've forgotten who it was now. So this is looking like the Lions starting to pick up, but they are coming across the Tars side. That is looking good. I mean, off the back of 4 wins now on the trot. Sure, they've got the whole Folau off the field issues. But that appears to be bringing the team together. We've seen Curtis Rona tweeting out his support for Folau and that whole kind of stuff. So it doesn't look like the Tars are getting distracted by that by that circus. So yeah, the Tars looking strong going into this one.
Yeah, they're definitely the best side looking out of Australia at the moment. But again, I'm pretty forward looking this round, I tell you, because I'm looking forward for the Waratahs here, and I think it's going to be pretty big. For this season, especially with the conference that's quite tight. They've only got a slender lead at the top there. But looking forward, of course, they've got the Lions at home. But then they have the bye before they go to the Blues at home, the Crusaders away, the Highlanders at home, then the Chiefs away. That's a pretty pretty much, they've got a bye and they're playing 4 New Zealand teams minus the Hurricanes. Do you think after those, 5, 6 rounds, do you think the Australian Conference is going to look a bit different, or do you think the Waratahs are actually good enough to stand up to that?
I'm not sure about so much whether the Waratahs are good enough to stand up. I mean, they should get points to say against the Lions, also against the Blues at home. The other 3, they're really going to struggle. But on the flip side of that, the people that we were talking about most likely to challenge them are going to be the Rebels, who, as we're about to find out, are on tour. So they're about to lose a couple of games as well. So it's going to be, whilst we might see basically it's going to see the Australian pack sliding back against South African and New Zealand conferences rather than necessarily a big shake-up.
It's interesting, we talked about that for the Waratahs. I've gone for a similar sort of thing with the Lions as well. You talked about their tour starting off, and their next 4 games, they've got obviously the Waratahs, then the Reds, the Hurricanes and the Highlanders. Now, do you think, even if they have a bad tour here, do you think this is even going to really affect the South African Conference if they've got such a massive lead at the top of that table? I mean, you look at the Lions at the top on 25 points. The next highest are the Bulls, only on 14. Is this conference a foregone conclusion? Can they just totter through here, maybe take a couple of points off the Tars and the Reds, can New Zealand, and still canter away off that conference?
I think that, this is definitely the time that the Bulls can close that gap. I mean, we're going to get onto their game later, but I'd say this is where I actually had I think it was the Sharks in a better position than the Lions, because they had this tour coming up. But the Sharks have just gone and thrown it all away, unfortunately, in that last game with the Bulls. I mean, losing by 30 points, what were they doing? That was
nothing. That's why they lost so badly. They're literally nothing. Sleeping.
So they had a big opportunity to close the gap, and they failed. And yeah, you've got to say that the Lions are looking pretty, but we should see at least the Bulls close that gap somewhat during these next 4 weeks. You
got the Sharks as well. They're on 14 points. Worst points differential, obviously. Stormers, the Jaguares, are on 13 and 12, so it's pretty tight. You talked about those games, the Bulls and what the Sharks have got coming up as well. This next few rounds are going to be pretty decisive to what happens in that South African Conference, which is looking, bar the top, pretty interesting as well. But hopefully they do close that gap up and we will see a bit of competition going through there. Okay, Waratahs at home. Who's going to take this one? Are you going to go for a road win? You're going to be a rebel? That's a bad choice of words, isn't it?
I was going to say, the Rebels are playing the Bulls. What are you talking about, silly man?
A rebel, buck the trend, come
on. No, Tars by 3, which basically means I think this one can come down to bounce the ball. But yeah, no, back in the Tars by 3.
There we go. That's why I'm not at second in the SuperBru picks. I'm going Lions by 3. So I'm going a close one, but I can't pick the Waratahs. Going for the Lions. On the road, I know. On the road, it's always a bad sign, but no. Still going to go with the Lions to pip this one. So that's going to be our point difference straight away.
And to be fair, even. The Lions are a good touring side. So I say this one could go either way. They're in with a good shout, but the Waratahs can be slight favourites.
Interesting. Right, let's move on. Third match of the weekend, we have the Crusaders versus the Sunwolves. Oh dear, I don't think I'm going to talk about this one too much. In Christchurch, of course, Crusaders off the bye. Sunwolves losing to the Blues. Doesn't get any much lower than that. But the Crusaders, of course, they've got a bye. And then they're off on tour as well. So after this, they're off to South Africa, Argentina, to face the touring over there. But we'll talk about their schedule, because it's not very much to talk about this game, really, to be completely fair. Are they lucky to get a bye at such a good time here?
Yeah, the schedule has been absolutely crazy. The Sharks, for example, travelling back from New Zealand and then having to play the Bulls straight up, who I think were coming off a bye at the time. And that's just crazy, giving them that kind of schedule. When you come back off a tour, you should be given the next round off, and that should be the rule. And having a bye and then going away on tour is crazy. It's actually bad for the Crusaders, because they'd much rather have that bye afterwards rather than before, I think.
Interesting. So they're up against Sunwolves. I mean, what can you say about the Sunwolves? I mean, every time I do this, every week, I talk about Sunwolves. Are they getting better? Are they improving? Have they got some new talents coming in? Are they doing this a little bit better? Have they found out this good tactic's going to work for them? You're always looking for the positive thing, but I think we're getting to the stage of the season now where we look at the Sunwolves and going, they've got to win a game. It doesn't matter if it's really ugly. It doesn't matter if it's really bad. Crusaders looks incredibly unlikely, but how do they win? What do they have to do? Where do they find a hole? It's possibly one of the best teams in the competition, but they have to have some sort of positive outthought to this match. Where do they look? Where's their shining light?
Back home. No, right. If they didn't beat the Blues, I think from memory, they might have one more game at home in Tokyo. Their other home games are in Singapore and Hong Kong from now on. Basically, that's it. The Sunwolves are not going to win a game this season, unfortunately, which is a disaster. I think that what we're seeing here is that Jamie Joseph is looking towards the Japan squad, and what's much more important for them is how they perform in that June international window, and how they perform in Super Rugby. Now it's all over. It's all gone.
There's a lot of depth though. There's a lot of players coming through there. You've got to say they have found a lot of decent talent. I mean, I'm trying to find one bright light in the Sunwolves team.
Okay, the bright light is, as you say, this basically the Sunwolves didn't get a pre-season. Now next season they will, because they're moving the top league season games, so it happens earlier in the year and doesn't happen at the same time. It doesn't happen just before Super Rugby. So they're going to have a pre-season next year. It's going to be good. So they've not had a pre-season this year. They're like 2 weeks. So basically, Super Rugby has been their pre-season for the June international tour games, and that's the bright light. The bright light here is that the Brave Blossoms should look good in June, and from an international point of view, and that's all. That's what this is all about. Is unfortunately for them this season, it's not about the Sunwolves. It's about the Brave Blossoms in June, and that's the shining light.
A 10-week pre-season. Come on.
Yeah, a 10-week pre-season. That's what it. Oh no, come on. That's how long. If you think about it, how long a Super Rugby pre-season is. It's about 10 weeks. So the. So no, that is what it's all about. Until these last 2 rounds, he hasn't even known what his best 15 is. He's been chopping and changing it so much.
They've been injured so much. It's hard to pick a top 15 when half of them are in a hospital.
True, and every team has that problem.
True.
Apart from the Highlanders. Highlanders have only got like 2 injuries at the moment. They're a fantastic situation. But everyone else is, as you say, everyone else has got players walking wounded all over the shop. That doesn't help, I agree. But I think he's taken too long to settle down from a Sunwolves point of view. He's taken too long to settle down on what his starting 15 is, but I think this has been a bigger picture situation. It's not about this season for them.
So how bad is it going to be for the Sunwolves?
I've been conservative and kind to them. Crusaders by 20.
That is huge for you. Goodness me, you won't own anything. If the Sunwolves win this game, you'll be just lost completely. I'm going Crusaders by 33. So I felt I was going a bit too much there, but I kind of feel a bit better about that pick after that. So it's good. Both going Crusaders back on the winning horse for me. Right, next game. Over to Australia. Suncorp Stadium with the Reds.
Nice. Crusaders, horses. Brilliant. Nicely done.
Yeah, completely planned, all along planned. Reds against the Chiefs, Suncorp. Reds are coming off a loss. The Chiefs coming off a loss to the Waratahs and the Canes, respectively. The Reds, now, we could talk about the Reds for a while, I think. They've completely lost their marbles, I think, in the season. The way they play has become a bit predictable, a bit one-dimensional. The backs of... the experience isn't there. They're not getting the leadership from anyone in that back line. But the real question here is, who takes the buck for this? Whose real responsibility is this here to pick this team back up and get them going where they were in those first few rounds? Does this go back to Brad Thorne, do you think? Or is this something the players need to sort out in this team?
It kind of goes to Brad Thorne, and he needs to just scare the backs a bit more so that they just actually will tackle. Because at the moment, everyone outside of Karevi just doesn't tackle. And that's a major problem. If you're actually no, sorry, Karevi didn't tackle, not Karevi. I've gone blank as to who was playing in the 13 jersey, but everyone else in that back line.
Not your favourite name.
Yes,
Fione Sortier.
That's the one. Fione Sortier. He was the only guy who would tackle in that back line. Everyone else in that back line was like a revolving door, and quite a few of them missed more tackles than they made. And if you've got a back line that's doing that, up against someone like the Chiefs, when you've got Damon McKenzie running riot, you're going to get ripped to pieces. So the pack is doing well. The pack's nice and gritty. It's doing its business. But when you've got a porous back line like that, you're just going to you're going to be giving up points. Every team knows what? Okay, guys, game plan against the Reds: spin the ball wide and just run. That's it. It doesn't take a genius. So even I could coach a team to beat the Reds at the moment.
Oh, that's a bold call. It's the Chiefs on the phone. Hello. You talked about the Chiefs. You've already picked my question. Mackenzie, he's the one I've picked on all season long. Most people hate it that I talk about him, but I don't care. He wants to be the future of the black jersey and the number 10 jumper. He's got to perform. Is this a chance for him to perform? Do you think this is where we're going to actually see him running off the ball from the forwards, some front foot ball, actually taking on the line, actually making inroads? Are we going to see this finally? We're going to see him going forward, not backwards to go forward.
Oh dear! I can't remember if you were on the show. A couple of weeks ago, we said actually, the Chiefs' game plan is to throw the ball behind Dave McKenzie and make him play off the cuff rather than actually throw it to him. He seems to play better that way.
It does, yeah.
Which is so. There you go. That all these coaching points I'm giving to for the Chiefs. Look. He is a fly half. He's not a fullback, right? He has played fly half all the way through age grades. That's where he plays. He's just getting used to having less space, the quicker pace of the game, and just give him time, and you'll see him slowly evolve into the role. We're not going to see a sudden click. Wow, look, he looks fantastic. No, it takes time. Burton Barrett was a couple of years as an All Black, where we're like, he's kind of a bit flaky in that number 10 jersey, isn't he? He doesn't have any game management. And then suddenly, and then after a couple of years, he grew into it's like, actually, he's not that bad as a number 10. To like, oh, he's now the world's best player. But it's year after year after year. We're always like, right, Dave McKenzie, he's really exciting from the back. Let's see him at number 9. Number 9. Yeah, well, actually, the All Blacks coach has talked about him being number 9, but he's not, is he? Yeah. Let's be honest. He must do great things at number 10. Give the kid a chance, right? Give him a couple of years to grow through it, and you'll see it progress. He is the All Blacks number 10 jersey for 2020 onwards, right? We're going to see him with Geordie Barrett outside him, Rico Ioane in the 13 jersey. That's your midfield combination post-Rugby World Cup.
What if he doesn't? That's the big question. Say next year, end of Super Rugby, he's still going backwards to go forwards. What's the backup plan? All Black coach? Just make just make Barrett play a couple of extra years until the next kid comes through. Is it TJ Falcon? Is it what's his name, Smith, down in Fletcher Smith down in one of those guys could come through. Is it a Terry Black? Will Perifetta show that he's more than just a fancy running guy with the ball? I don't think it's Gatland, to be honest. I could be proved wrong, obviously. I don't think he's the right kind of player for the All Blacks. But look, there's options there, and with players with Sopwanger heading off to Wasps, with the Blues with Perifetta not really nailing down that jersey, there's going to be opportunities for other guys to have a go and come through. So, who's it going to be in 2 years' time? Who knows? Who was it going to be 2 years ago? We didn't know. It was going to be Cruden, but then he went off, didn't he? The thing that people need to mostly realise is the fact that he might not come off. It's easy to say 2 years' time he'll be adapted to it, he'll be used to it, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe he could not reach that top level. He just might stay where he is, and then that would just be, next plan. I think it's a bit easy just to say he's going to come right eventually, which who knows? It's a different level, isn't it? International level, especially Super Rugby. So I think you got to keep open frame of mind. You got to keep hammering him about it as well. You got to edge the guy on, make him get better. Right, what are we talking about here? The Reds and the Chiefs. Who's going to win?
Chiefs by 10.
Oh, this is interesting. I've only got Chiefs by 8. So I've actually got more conservative than you. This is why we're climbing up the table, boys. This is why we're going up, I tell you. Okay, I'm taking that one with me. Next up, we're up to Loftus, where the Bulls are up against the Rebels. This is going to be a fun one. The Bulls had a good win. They look in good touch, smashing the Sharks. Talk about just 40 points to 10. And, of course, the Rebels lost in interesting circumstances to the Jaguares last round. So the Bulls, interesting enough, the way they play, I think this is almost a gift being sent over to the Bulls. You could, getting thrown into it's a bad name, but it's the bullpen, I guess you could call it. A team, the Bulls, they live off mistakes from the other teams. That's where they really do capitalise on. But they have a good pack as well that could, I think, demolish this Rebels team. Where do you think they're going to target? Are they going to specifically go for somewhere in this Rebels or just dominate them everywhere? I can't see the Rebels getting anywhere close to them.
I think it's just pretty simple, okay? We're playing at altitude, and we've just seen that Genya can't play more than 50 minutes at sea level, right? So it's pretty simple. Just don't let the Rebels get away in that first 50 minutes. Wait for Genya to go off, bring on Roders, I think it is, and then basically just win the game from there because the Rebels are a team about one player and one player only, and that's Will Genya. Sure, Dame Halep-Petty at fullback does some fun stuff, and it's a good player, but he can't run the game from fullback. And Debrasini is not a Super Rugby fly half, so everything revolves around Genya, and unfortunately Genya just can't play long enough.
And you say they've got to stay in the game in 50 minutes. They don't really. I mean, they could be getting beaten by 20 points at the 50-minute mark, and they just collapse so massively that it won't matter. They'll just pull that back anyway. You've spoken a bit about the Rebels. I mean, yeah, they had a good start to the season, had easy games, everyone got excited about them. Facing the Bulls and the Stormers on tour, then they go home to face the Crusaders. Is this the fall away we're going to see from the Rebels, where they're going to take no points from this, or maybe one or two if they get lucky, and they're just going to go straight down the table in Australia?
I think, yeah, they've lost all their games against any decent opposition. They're about to play the Bulls, who we're both going to say they're going to lose. They're going to play the Stormers, who haven't lost a game at home all season. And then they go and play the Crusaders. Well, hey, yes, as you say, we are looking at potentially zero points from these three games.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Rebels. Really, this is a bit like the Crusaders Sunwolves game, isn't it? It's really not much to talk about.
And this is why I said the Tars are about to face 4 weeks on the trot against New Zealand opposition. Fine, they're going to have a tough schedule, sure, but who's going to close the gap? It's not going to. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be the Rebels because, the Rebels have had all their easy games. They've got all their easy points, and to be fair to the Rebels, they got the tri-bonus points as well. They did well in that period. They were good bully boys. They just are too thin in that creative department. It's all about Will Genia, and as soon as I think maybe they pulled him off early because they thought, hey, look, we've won this game against the Jaguares. What they've learned from that is they can't pull him off at any stage. They could be 50 points up with 10 minutes to go. If they pull him off, they're going to probably lose.
Yeah, it's not look good for their future, does it, at all? Especially when you got like Debrasini, who's copping a bit of a rap. I'm surprised that he still starts every single game. Just shows the lack of depth that they've got in the number 10 jumper as well. So it's not looking good for the Rebels. We're both going the Bulls. Who you got? What's your margin? Obviously, you're going for the Bulls.
I've only gone by 7, and I've talked myself into it. I'm thinking, like, I should have gone 21 or something. But yeah, I've gone Bulls by 7.
Bulls by 7. I've got Bulls by 11, so I'm going a little bit more after you. But they're still pretty conservative, speaking of what we just talked about. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe Guinea will play 70 minutes, and it could be a bit closer. Let's carry on. We're still in South Africa, off to Kings Park in Durban, where the Sharks are up against the Stormers. Interesting matchup. This one, Sharks obviously coming off the team we just spoke about. The Bulls losing 40 points to 10. Stormers had a bye. So a fresher team on the road, though, to the Sharks. We talked about it already. Sharks don't really like being at home. But the Sharks team, now, fans are starting to lose faith in the side. They're starting to wonder what's going on. Other players starting to lose a bit of faith into what they can do. A team that was being touted at the start of the season to be so good on paper, going to do all these brilliant things. Haven't delivered yet. Is the faith still there in the players?
Well, they built up some great faith by beating the Blues and then going very close against Hurricanes. They should have beaten the Hurricanes. So they had this massive amount of positive morale heading home, and then it all just fell apart. They obviously don't like mum's cooking. They just don't like being... Get them some nice new beds or something. Maybe they just can't afford nice beds, and actually when they're on the road in 5-star hotels, they get a better night's sleep. I don't know what it is. Get them all nannies so they have to get up and look after their kids at night. But something's wrong. They just don't like playing at home for some reason. But they're lucky because they're about to play the team that really don't like leaving home. They're the polar opposites. The Stormers have not won one game away all season. They've won all their home games and they've lost all their away games. This is kind of like which team doesn't want to lose the most. Because it's not about who wants to win this one the most. It's about who doesn't lose it. So I think the Sharks are probably not going to lose it more than the Stormers. But it's a bit of a coin flip. Again, this one I found the hardest one to call. I think could probably be one of the worst rugby of the round.
Interesting. You talked about most of what I was going to say about the Stormers as well. Similar sides, but in a different way. Very hot and cold in their performances over the season. But overall, you sort of touched on a bit there. A huge match in the overall scale of the South African Conference. Sharks are on 14 points. Stormers are on 13 points. The loser, do you think really that's their season done here?
Pretty much. Yes, you're right. Because this one's the finals are going to be the three teams that win the three conferences, and then it's three other teams, isn't it? Or is it four other teams? I've gone blank now. But basically, it's going to be the four teams from New Zealand, the other two conference leaders. So yeah, unless you win your conference, you're not going through from South Africa or Australia, I don't think. So, and the Lions are too far ahead. You'd need to win every game.
So, Sharks, they're at home. Who's going to win this battle of differences?
The Sharks are going to lose it less, and they're going to win by 5 points.
They're going to lose it less and win by 5, okay? So, you've gone Sharks by 5 points there. And again, this is probably why I'm not up the leaderboard. I've gone Stormers by 2. Team on the road is going to do the job. I've lost all faith. I'm done with the Sharks. Absolutely done.
No, I tell you, I have no faith in the Sharks, but I've got even less faith in the Stormers on the road.
I think it's going to come down to one thing. One player, one little bit of brilliance, one little mistake, something like that could easily decide this game. And it's going to have a huge effect on the table as well. They're going to get left behind. The Bulls start winning these games. See you later. They're all gone. Lions too far ahead.
Well, that's what the Bulls showed us how you beat the Sharks. You chip the ball through, and they don't have any cover. That's basically it. So unless they've sorted that problem out, then they're done for. If the Stormers don't chip the ball through at any point in this game, then their coaches all should be shot. Not just fired, shot. Because the Bulls gave us the blueprint on how to win this game.
And the way that the Sharks played so poorly, dropping so many balls, just making so many errors, frustrating. Sharks fans, I do sympathise with them because it's probably the most frustrating season they would have so far with such a quality team not delivering again from what they've got.
We were all so positive about the Sharks. The Sharks were going to be the ones that were going to challenge the Lions. And it's just disappointing. For the Stormers, it's like, yep, we thought you were going to be poor, and you are. That's fine. We can live with that. Expectation. The Sharks, we had so much hope for you. We're just disappointing to see it not come through. We don't like to see it like this. It's the reason we're being down on them is because we're just so disappointed in them, and they could have been so good.
Yeah, expected a lot more, definitely, from that Sharks team. So I'm going Stormers, you're going Sharks. So interesting. 2 matches, we're going differences. This is where I'm making it up the table, making it back up the table. Last game of the round, Brumbies versus Jaguars, GIO Stadium. Brumbies coming off that interesting loss to the Highlanders, and the Jaguars off that win against the Rebels. Interesting run too. I think it showed good things about the Jaguars, that game. I'm going to talk about the Brumbies first, because we talked about the Sharks and how disappointing they were. I think the Brumbies are in that same boat. Didn't expect so much, but they've just been so bad and so average. I looked through their fixtures when I was getting ready to do this video here, and it's just poor matches after poor matches after poor matches. One game against the Reds, they did look all right, but it's all been bad and car crashes all around. Went to disaster when they come into New Zealand. They do have 3 home games on the trot here before they head off to, or they have the bye, and then they head off to South Africa. Are the Brumbies going to be another team that we're going to just chop off the list as potential contenders or playoff contenders in a few weeks' time?
Haven't we already chopped them off?
Sorry, come on, they're not that far gone yet. They're third in Australia. They're on 14 points, 1 win, and they're right up there with the Rebels and the Waratahs.
But, I thought the Waratahs were like 20.
24,
and they're on 14 points. They're 10 points behind.
2 games, 2 wins.
That's a mountain to climb. The Tars. I think the Tars have got the Australian one wrapped up. Pocock back is massive for them, to be fair, and they've actually got a line out Maul now, which is good. But yeah, we didn't expect much from the Brumbies, so it's not really surprising that they haven't done anything. So so now I'm definitely not as down on them as I am the Sharks, because I just don't think they've got the potential the Sharks have. So, but they're happy looking better. They're putting Leofano at 12 rather than 10. Pocock coming back. Slowly things are starting to come together. Sure, they were never going to win against the Highlanders. I don't know why anyone had any hopes that they were going to do anything there. So we're going to look more at the Reds game than we do that. And the problem with this, looking at the Reds game, is obviously we've just talked about before, is the Reds backs can't tackle. And so the question is, can they? I still think they should get up over the Jaguares. But yeah, I can't see them climbing up high enough to catch the Waratahs, being 10 points behind already.
A little bit off the topic here, but talking about Australian teams, they've got pretty key players here who are kind of missing the mark. We talk about Brumbies, Kurandrani, Spate, talk about guys with the Reds, the Karevis and Fiawi Sortias, guys like that. Could go on the rest of the teams as well. But a lot of guys, these are starters, these are internationals, missing the mark. If you were an Australian fan, which I'd be sorry for you if you were, but is that an area of concern for you? Do you think they're really looking quite off the pace for their international players?
No, because I watch AFL. And that's the problem. No one in Australia cares anymore.
Feel sorry for you for that as well.
Yeah. No, that's the problem. Look, the Rebels having the best of a season, great start. Still, no one's turning up to watch them. The Waratahs are having to rely on gimmicks like going and playing a game at the SCG for the first time in a decade or something silly or was that the first ever Super Rugby game that had been held there or something like that? So
would be
to try and get people to turn up and watch them. The Australian public they've just lost it with them, because they have been just so poor for the past since basically the Rugby World Cup, which is really sad to see. We want a vibrant game in Australia. They've just lost $3 million, I think it was, last season, and so they're in serious trouble financially, and also just serious trouble of supporters, and it's a real shame. So yes, I would be worried. There was supposed to be all this talk of them all playing nicer together, and actually sort of doing the strength and conditioning that the Wallabies coaches wanted. So hopefully they all arrive in the form, and Checker doesn't use the junior nationals just to get the players fit, which is what he did last year. Because they've got Ireland arriving, haven't they, in June, and Ireland number 2 in the world. Yeah,
they're on a good roll at the moment, aren't they? Decent roll. Yeah, not too bad for a Northern Hemisphere side. It's all right.
For a Northern Hemisphere side, the second in the world, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, don't talk about that. Up against the Brumbies, of course, the Jaguares. So we've talked a lot in probably the last few weeks here about home away advantage or away advantage, travelling, not travelling. But this Jaguares side, they don't seem to really care. They play poorly and they play well. It doesn't matter where they are. They're erratic all over the place. Do you ever have confidence in picking this team at all? Do you ever say, Jaguares fully got them on this one to take the victory?
Oh, never. No. Until they face the Sunwolves. That's the only time I will do. No, you don't, do you? You've no idea what they're going to turn up. They could get a couple of dodgy decisions from the ref and just totally lose it for 20 minutes while they all get their heads around the fact that actually not all the stuff goes against you sometimes. And we've seen that. Luckily, that didn't happen against the Rebels. But it's happened in other games this season where they've just lost it for 10, 15 minutes, at which point the game's gone. So that could easily happen again this weekend. We don't know. They did rotate their players. We saw players like Creevy and stuff on the bench last weekend, which is a good sign that they've actually got some depth. But it did take Genia going off the pitch for them to win the game. You're not going to see that big drop-off from the Brumbies. You're not going to see the heights either that the Rebels started with, but you'll have more consistency throughout the game for the Brumbies. And I think the travel's going to start taking its toll on the Jaguares.
What's your chance of the first back-to-back victories for the Jaguares in 2018?
Brumbies by 7.
No faith. I've got Brumbies by 6, so I've gone pretty close to you, actually. That's quite good. I mean...
Just because they
would
wear
be good.
black jerseys doesn't mean they are the All Blacks.
They've still got orange on them, which is their downfall.
There you go.
That's where they go wrong. So we're both going Brumbies to win that one. I mean, all the same except for 2. If I get, 5 out of 7, I'll take a pretty happy round there. So I'm not actually complaining too much at all. It will be quite good. But anyway, that does wrap us up. That is all our games. As always, gone on for far too long, but that's how we roll around here. You should know that by now if you're around the channel before. As always, thanks for joining us, Paul. Thanks for all your thoughts and opinions, and hopefully if anyone wants to copy their picks, you have a good weekend of action as well. But if people want to check out what you do on your channel, where can they find you? What will they see? And how excited should they be?
They should be over the moon. Yay! It's the best show in the world. So yeah, head over 8 p.m. New Zealand time, pretty much every day on Driving Maul YouTube channel. We have a live show for you, talking about Super Rugby mainly, but sometimes other stuff as well. So head over there for that. Plus also you can get my predictions for all the games in Super Rugby, Viva Premiership, Top 14, Pro 14, European Rugby, Major League Rugby. Oh, Major League Rugby kicks off this weekend in the USA, so get excited. The American giant is rising.
Excited. So amped. Cool. So if you don't like watching an hour-long videos, you can go over there and get all your picks in about 3 minutes. So that's how he rolls over there. Nothing too long. Busy man, obviously. But that's us. Thank you for tuning and watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. As per always, go check out Paul. See what he's got to deliver there as well. And we'll see you all next week for plenty more Paul picks from my part. But have a good weekend. And we'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.
Bye.